In this video, we will be answering the following questions. What were the terms of surrender? What specific vision for Reconstruction did Abraham Lincoln have? How did the assassination of Lincoln affect Reconstruction? What was Andrew Johnson's vision for Reconstruction? How was it different from Lincoln's? What was Congress's plans for Reconstruction? What are some of the lingering effects of the war between the states on the country, particularly the South? What were the terms of surrender?
The terms of surrender were written in letter form as follows. I propose to receive the surrender of the Army of Northern Virginia on the following terms, to wit, rolls of all the officers and men to be made in duplicate, one copy to be given to an officer to be designated by me, the other to be retained by such officer or officers as you may designate. The officers to give their individual paroles not to take up arms against the government of the United States until properly exchanged, and each company or regimental commander sign a like parole for the men of their commands. The arms, artillery, and public property to be parked and stacked, and turned over to the officers appointed by me to receive them. This will not embrace the sidearms of the officers, nor their private horses or baggage. This done, each officer and man will be allowed to return to his home, not to be disturbed by U.S. authorities so long as they observe the paroles and the laws in force where they may reside.
What specific vision for Reconstruction did Abraham Lincoln have?
Lincoln wanted the Reconstruction era to be a time of healing for the nation. President Lincoln had his own plans known as the 10% Plan. The plan was made so that if the number of people who swore allegiance to the Union equaled 10% of the voters, it would allow the state to be readmitted as long as their new government plan abolished slavery. However, Lincoln was assassinated before his plan could be accomplished.
How did the assassination of Lincoln affect Reconstruction?
The assassination of President Lincoln caused Andrew Johnson to become president. Johnson had his own plan that he wanted to use, but as Congress didn't like him, they made their own plan that answered the problems that were around.
What was Andrew Johnson's vision for Reconstruction?
Johnson's plan was that he would grant almost anyone pardon as long as they swore loyalty to the government. The plan would not pardon people if they were high-ranking political or military leaders. It would also not pardon people who owned property worth more than $20,000. The states could be readmitted if their new government plan abolished slavery, repealed the cession, and repudiated Confederate debts.
How was it different from Lincoln's?
They were quite similar, with Johnson's plan adding to the ratification of the 13th Amendment, repudiating Confederate debts, and repealing from the cession.
Then what was Congress's plan for Reconstruction?
Congress's main goal for Reconstruction was to help free the slaves. Congress also wanted to punish the South for what they did. This led Congress to making the 14th and 15th Amendments. Then they made and passed the Reconstruction Acts. This allowed them to split up the South and only allowed Confederate states in the Union if they ratified the 14th Amendment and allowed African American men to vote. By using this plan, eventually all states were readmitted.
What are some of the lingering effects of the war between the states on the country, particularly the South?
By ending slavery, it made eventual racial equality to the extent that we now have it possible. The Civil War helped the country experience an economic boom. With the southern states out of Congress, laws were passed during the Civil War that allowed for the building of the Transcontinental Railroad and for the homesteading of the Great Plains. Another way it affected the South is that it led to the establishment of the first town by African Americans in our very own county, also known as Princeville. Also, the North won the war because of their industrialism, and when they saw that, they realized industry would be good for the country, and that is why there is still a lot of industry in the North today.